Hi Professor, I am Varaprasad from Boult tournament team. In this video, I am going to explain the authentication and authorization implementation for our site. So these are the team members. In the first slide, you can see the names and student IDs of our team. And in the second slide, you can see the images and the assigned roles. Now I'm going to explain the login functionality on our site. So before login, the user cannot access the delete, modify or start items. He can only see the list of tournaments, and when I click on create tournament and try to create a sample tournament with some random data, description, some random start date and the end date. Now after clicking create, I couldn't see tournament 5 here because I'm not logged in. Now I'm trying to log in by entering the phone number, name and password field. I click on sign in. I get the login successful notification. Click on OK. Then I'll be redirected to the landing page. Now when I click on create tournament and try to create a sample tournament, some random start date, the end date, and now when I click on create, see, I could see the sample tournament 5 in the list. Thus only an authorized user will be able to create a tournament. Now when I click on logout and try to access any of the authorized content, I will not be able to do, such as if I try to delete, I will not be able to delete. That is about authentication and authorization. Now for user registration, user can click on login, and here if he doesn't have an account, he can register using sign up button by filling this form, the name, mobile number and the password field, and after clicking on sign up, the user will be registered in the database. Then the user will be redirected to login page. From here the user can log in with his new credentials. Now I'm going to explain the code. Here we have created a authorization service which contains code for login using user login method. Then there is a separate method for user logout, and there is a method to check whether the user is logged in or not. And finally we have the registration method which handles the registration functionality. And for displaying front-end models for login and registration, we have created separate components for login and register. The HTML contains a form, and when it is submitted, it will invoke the submit method from the component, which in turn invokes user registration from authentication service. This method from auth service is responsible for hitting the backend server endpoint with the given payload and register the user in backend database. So that is all about registration. Now I'll explain the login component. In the login component HTML, there is a form, and upon clicking submit, it will invoke submit function from the component, which in turn will invoke user login from auth service. This method from authentication service handles the user login functionality. When I click on this method, I have this implementation where it will invoke the endpoint with the user payload and reads the response, and from response object it reads the JWT token and stores in the local storage of the browser. Thus user authentication is handled with the login component. Now I'm closing the login component and I'll explain the user authorization process, for which we have created a separate file called auth interceptor, which implements the HTTP interceptor. This class is responsible to read the JWT token from the local storage using local storage.getItem and set it as an authorization header for all the clone requests. Now I'm going to explain the user logout process. Logout is handled from the header component. When the user clicks on the logout button, it will invoke the logout function of the the component which is reusing user logout function from auth service, where we have defined this function is responsible to clear the JWT token from the local storage. That's all about the implementation of user authentication and authorization functionality. Now I'll explain how it is actually implemented in the front end. I open our site and coming to dev tools. Under the application tab we have the local storage and nothing is set yet. Now when I try to log in using the login button, I enter the phone number again, name, password, enter the password, click on login. I get the login successful notification, and after that I'll be redirected to the landing page. Now when I check the application, the JWT token is created and the login button is changed to logout. Now I'll try to access some authorized content on our site. Now when I click on delete, I got 200 response and the tournament is deleted. And the authorization header is also added in the request. Now I'm going to explain the logout functionality. So let me clear the logs and go to application tab again. Now when I click on the logout button, the JWT token is removed and the user will be redirected to the home page. Now if I try to access any authorized content, I will not be allowed. I'll get 403 forbidden exception. That's all about user authentication and authorization implementation for our site. Thank you.